My name is Morgan. I'm a registered yoga teacher and an avid reader. In my classes, I like to infuse the themes from the books that I'm currently reading with a physical asana practice. Today's class pulls themes from Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. In this book, he shares stories of his upbringing, his search for a guru, and his encounters with many spiritual leaders across the globe. In his search to create a path between the industrialism of the West and the spirituality of the East, Paramahansa Yogananda's impact reaches far and wide, inspiring his followers to control the fluctuations of their minds, to believe in divine power, and to seek for truth within themselves. In addition to a mat and a block for today's practice, I invite all of you to use an eye mask. This helps to introduce pratyahara, or the withdrawal of the senses, in our practice today in a physical way. If you do not have an eye mask or you're uncomfortable using an eye mask, you also have the option to close your eyes or to find a soft gaze. We'll begin today in embryo pose.
To get into an embryo pose, it may be helpful to start in balasana or child's pose. From there, to squeeze your knees in towards your chest, to ground your forehead into the mat, and to reach your fingertips back to your heels or to your toes. Here, we'll become present, both in the mind and the body. Allow yourself to dive inward, allowing your true self to guide you through today's practice. The words of Lahiri Mahasaya will scent our intention for today. What one does not trouble to find within will not be discovered by transporting the body hither and yon. The truth is already within you. Hence, there is no shock when the truth is revealed, because it is already inside and visible to you. Allow this to resonate with you as you sink a little bit deeper into your mat. You allow your body to release just a little bit more. Releasing the tongue from the roof of the mouth, the muscles around the eyes, the fingertips from gripping so tightly along your feet, and your shoulders a little away from your ears. Slowly begin to walk your fingertips up towards the top corners of your mat. You can bring your knees a little bit wider to come into balasana, child's pose. The eye mask creates a challenge for our proprioception and body awareness. I find it helpful and comforting to run my fingertips along the sides of my mat and to identify the corners of my mat often throughout my practice when I'm using a blindfold. Here we'll begin to cultivate a samavritti, an even breath that will guide us through our practice and flow today. On an inhale, walk your fingertips in and rise up into tabletop. Hands under your shoulders, knees under your hips. Here we'll find a few rounds of cat-cow, inhaling to drop the belly low for cow pose, and exhaling to arch the back for cow pose. Continue this following your breath, flowing breath to movement. Inhaling for cow, exhaling for cat. You may choose to find some intuitive movement, maybe some C curves, or some hip circles. In this bear pose, allow yourself to do what your body is feeling like it needs right now, as if you're a bear awakening from your hibernation in the long winter. When you feel content, we'll meet in downward facing dog, grounding through the toes and the hands, lifting the hips, and engaging the shoulders. We'll take a round of breath here, inhaling through the nose and exhaling back out through the nose. One more inhale and exhale. Inhale to lift the right leg to the sky. We'll open up the hip, feeling the opening in the right side body. Maybe finding some hip circles in one direction and then the next. preparing our hips for our practice today. Place your right foot back on the mat, and this time on an inhale, we'll lift the left leg into three-legged dog. Again, we'll find some hip circles, opening up the hip and that left side body. If you have not changed already, begin to do some hip circles in the opposite direction. When you feel complete on both sides, go ahead and place your left foot on the mat, downward facing dog. Inhale to prepare, and exhale, tiptoe the feet to the top of the mat. Inhale for a halfway lift, and exhale to fold all the way down. Inhale to rise up strong, fingertips reach to the sky, before pulling your palms to Anjali Mudra. Notice how your balance feels here, with your eyes closed and standing upright. Can you ground through all four corners of each foot? Inhale to reach up for extended mountain, and exhale to fold. Inhale, halfway lift to a flat back. Exhale, release your hands to the mat and step back into high plank, lowering down onto the knees and all the way onto the mat. On an inhale, rise up into cobra. Exhale, back to the mat. Inhale to push up into downward facing dog. Stay here for one cycle of breath before our next sun A. On an inhale, we'll prepare, and an exhale, tiptoe to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Inhale, rise up, extended mountain. Exhale, hands through heart center. Inhale, rise up, extended mountain. Exhale to fold, reaching for the mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, hands plant and step back into high plank. Lower down onto the knees, and then all the way onto the mat. Inhale for your heart opener, cobra pose. And exhale to release your forehead back to the mat. Inhale, rise back up, Adho Mukha Savasana. Maybe you need to pedal out your feet, get comfortable, take any kind of creative, intuitive moment that serves you right now. Stay regulated by your breath. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, tiptoe to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift to a flat back. Exhale, we'll sink down low into chair pose, bending the knees, sinking the hips down low, wiggling the toes. The weight is light in the toes and set in the heels. Chest, gaze, and fingertips all reach high. On an exhale, we'll find a fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, step back into a high plank. This time we'll find a chaturanga dandasana, followed by an upward facing dog and meeting up and downward facing dog. Inhale your right leg to the sky and exhale to pull it forward to the top of your mat. Swivel your left foot out about 45 degrees and rise up into your warrior one. This may feel a little awkward the first time with the blindfold, but it will become more natural. On an exhale, plant your hands on the mat and step back into a high plank. Go ahead and find your flow. We'll meet in downward facing dog. This time, we'll lift the left leg to the sky and pull it through, finding warrior one on the left side. This may feel awkward, but try to keep your mask on and find this movement intuitively. On an exhale, plant the hands on the mat and step back into a high plank. Chaturanga, upward facing dog, and downward facing dog on an exhale. How is your breath? On an inhale, we'll prepare, and exhale, tiptoe to the top of your mat for a forward fold. inhaling to lift up halfway, and exhaling to sink down into your chair pose. Sink deeper for just another moment, and now release, sitting in Tadasana. Widen your stance just a bit, feet hips width distance apart. We'll find a fold. We'll eagle the arms, placing the right elbow under the left, and maybe finding a bind with the hands. Your other options are to give yourself a hug or to clasp both elbows. Maybe swing your arms back and forth, or bend and extend your knees. Shake your head yes or no. Release the arms, giving them a little shake before finding the spine, the opposite side. Your left elbow underneath your right. You have the option for some intuitive movement on this side as well. Maybe choosing the same variation as you did on the previous side, or doing something different, depending on what this side of your body needs. Release your fingertips to the mat and turn your toes wide, heels in for Malasana squat. You have the option to sit on a block. This helps to hold this position longer. You may need to take off your mask to locate your block. Squeeze your elbows into your knees into your elbows to create some engagement and activity in this pose. Remove your block and use your fingertips to rise back up into a fold. We'll meet in Tadasana in the middle of your mat. Ground down through your feet and rise up into chair pose. We're going to come into eagle on the right side. Right arm under left, right leg over left. You have the option to place your right toe on the mat or on a block to provide a little extra balance. Keep the mind still and the breath steady, focusing the gaze on the third eye. Lift the chest and tuck the chin slightly for Jalandhara Bandha. Focus your attention inward on the true self. If you fall out, come right back in. We'll rise up into standing leg raise. Your right knee lifted in towards your chest, keeping the eagle arms. Keeping the core engaged, the gaze steady on the third eye, and following the breath. We'll lower the chest and lift the right leg towards the back of the mat to come into Warrior 3 with eagle arms. Keep the gaze forward and flex your back foot. With control, release the right foot back to the mat to join the left and stand tall. Release the arms, maybe give them a little shake. Get out that energy, the tension. Before we do the same on the left side. We'll prepare for a chair pose by grounding through all four corners of our feet, sinking the hips down low, lifting the chest, the gaze, and the arms, and then finding eagle on the left side. Your left arm under the right, left leg over the right. Again, maybe finding a block underneath you, or placing your left toes on the mat for a little extra support. The mask brings an added challenge to our practice. It's okay if you fall, come right back in. Keeping the arm bind, release the legs, and lift the left knee in towards your chest for standing leg raise. Now slowly make your way into that eagle bound Warrior 3 on the left side, kicking the left leg back and reaching the chest forward. You have the option to keep your left foot placed on the mat and to slowly lift it as you grow more comfortable. Once you've found your full expression, continue to breathe. Slowly release the left leg back down towards the mat to stand in Tadasana, mountain pose. Turn to face the left side of your mat, opening the legs wide, toes slightly in, and find a fold. Find some intuitive movement here, swaying from side to side, reaching for one foot or the other. You're finding a bind with the hands, reaching behind the legs. You have lots of options here. Take any movement that's calling to you right now. Anything that feels good in your body in this moment. Don't think about what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing. Remember that the truth is already within you. Ensure that whatever movement you're doing follows your breath. On an inhale, rise back up. We're going to make your way to a seat in the middle of our mat. You may need to take off your mask for just a moment to grab a block and bring it near. We're going to prepare for a supported bridge, placing the feet parallel, about hips width distance apart on the mat. Walk your feet in to where they're comfortable. Ground through the shoulders and the feet, using the power of the legs to lift the hips up, placing a block underneath your sacrum. Relax your arms. Release your tongue from the roof of your mouth. Relax the muscles surrounding your eyes. But keep the engagement in your hips and your quads. In Autobiography of a Yogi, we're reminded that truth cannot be created, but only perceived. The truth is already there to all those who are willing to receive it. Even though we're nearing the end of practice, it is still important to focus on the breath. Lift the hips up a little bit to remove the block from underneath you, and then slowly lower your spine back down towards the mat. We'll pull the soles of the feet together and allow the knees to fall wide for Supta Baddha Konasana. Your left hand can be placed over the heart, right hand over the belly. Go ahead and turn inward, focusing the gaze on the third eye, feeling each inhale and exhale as the belly rises and falls. From Supta Baddha Konasana, we're going to make our way to pigeon on the right side. You can simply swivel around as I do, or even take a vinyasa, if that makes more sense to you. When you're in pigeon, we'll sit up tall before walking the fingertips forward and folding into our sleeping pigeon. In our pigeon today, I'm going to take a little more of a relaxed posture with less activity. Let's try to coil in, to draw ourselves inward, and to notice what we notice within ourselves. Slowly begin to rise back up. We'll swing the left leg around to come into cow face pose. The left knee will be over the top of the right knee, the feet facing outwards. Here we can find an eagle bind with the arms, left arm under right. Let's find some dynamic movement here. On an inhale, reaching the head and the arms up. On an exhale, bowing down. Inhale to rise. Exhale to coil in. Lift the head to neutral, unravel the arms, and we'll come into pigeon on the left side, making your way there how you did the previous side. Once you've found the proper alignment, go ahead and walk your fingertips towards the front of your mat and bow to yourself. Maybe your forehead reaches the mat. Notice the expansion as you inhale and how you can coil in just a little more with your exhales. Begin to walk your fingertips in towards your front shin and swing your right leg over your left for cow face pose. Now your right knee is over the top of your left knee. We'll find a bind of the arms, your right arm under your left. Again, we'll find some of that movement. Exhaling to coil in. Inhaling, finding a mini back bend. Following breath to movement. When you feel complete, find your neutral spine, release the arms. Send the legs out in front of you for a seated forward fold. Inhale the arms up to the sky, and exhale, folding forward, keeping a straight back to protect your low back, and maybe finding a soft bend in your knees to facilitate a deeper stretch in the hamstrings. Again, can we inhale to create length, and exhale to fold a little bit deeper into this stretch. On an inhale, we'll rise back up to a straight back. We're going to make our way onto our backs, lifting our legs up into a 90-degree angle for waterfall pose. Flex the feet to create engagement throughout the legs. As more blood is flowing towards the lungs, the heart, and the brain. You have the option to stay here or to come into plow pose, lifting the hips and sending the feet back towards the back of your mat. Make sure that you're supporting your low back by grounding firmly your upper arms into the mat and supporting your low back with your hands. Turn your focus inward, allowing your true self to guide you. Next, we'll take Deaf Man's pose, wrapping the arms behind the knees and pulling the knees in towards the ears. This creates a sense of pratyahara, a withdrawal of senses, which we've already achieved with the blindfold, and now have added to the experience by covering the ears. Let's go ahead and release the body back down onto the mat, slowly and with control. Before we enter our final resting posture, we'll take Supta Baddha Konasana, bringing the soles of the feet together and allowing the knees to fall wide. Again, placing one hand on the chest, the other on the belly. In this pose, open yourself up to accepting what is within. We'll begin to slow down the breath, to slow down the movement, and to slow down the mind as we prepare for our final rest. With ease, release the arms down by your sides and the legs out long towards the corners of the bottom of your mat. Get out any last wiggles and come into a comfortable position that you can stay in Shavasana for a few minutes. Now release control over the breath, remain in stillness, and turn the gaze to the third eye. In Autobiography of a Yogi, Paramahansa Yogananda mentioned a meditation that his master had encouraged him to do. He said, "My master always asked me to meditate when I saw an expanse of water. As all things can be reflected in water, so the whole universe is mirrored by the lake of the cosmic mind." I invite you to focus your mind on a mental image of an expanse of water. Begin to tune your mind to this mental image, noticing what you see, the color of the water, whether the water is still or moving, the area that's surrounding the water. Next, begin to listen. What do you hear? Maybe the sound of birds, the crashing of waves, the trickling of a creek. we'll pull our attention to what we can smell. Is the air salty? Or maybe you smell the strong chlorine of a swimming pool. In your mind, you begin to walk forward towards this expanse of water. Notice how the ground feels on your feet. As you approach the water, gaze down into it, noting whether you can see the bottom. And bring your attention to the surface, noticing your reflection staring back at you. Bend down towards the water and gently place your fingertips into the water. How does the water feel? Take a seat on the edge of this expanse of water and take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Allow your breath to return you back to this present moment and begin to flutter open your eyes. We'll meet in a seat at the top of our mats.
If you have read or are planning to read Autobiography by Yogi, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for joining me with your practice today. I bow to you as you bow to me, and together we say, Namaste.